As was said on Sunday, the question still remains, what is the difference between perception and awareness? And it seems that we have to dive deeper. On Sunday, a story is told that has different versions in different persuasions. So there's a reminder of the Buddhist version of this story told over years ago. And it's the story of a time long ago when Buddhism was flourishing in all the lands. And there were wandering monks coming to the monasteries day after day. And so the monasteries were flooded with those looking for hospitality and a place to sleep for the night. So a rule was brought in that any wandering monk who wanted to obtain a place for the night and have the hospitality of that monastery would have to win a debate with the abbot or the person in charge of that particular place. So as it happened, there was a small monastery out in the boondocks somewhere that was run by two brothers. One of them was tall and handsome and very intelligent, and the other was quite a puny little fellow, blind in one eye and not too bright as it seemed. But one day, after a hard day's work in the garden, in the evening time as dusk was falling, there was a knock on the monastery door, and the eldest brother said, "Oh no, not another monk. I'm too tired to debate today." And he spoke to his younger brother and said, "You'll have to debate with him. I'm going to bed." But the younger brother said, but you know I'm not very intelligent and I've only got one eye." And the big brother said, "Well, don't worry, just say that you want to debate with him in gestures." So that was agreed, and the wandering monk came in, and as they were sitting there, the wandering monk put up his finger, and then the young, not so intelligent fellow put up two fingers, and then the wandering monk put up 3 fingers, and then the one-eyed fellow held up his fist, and with that the wandering monk got up, picked up his knapsack and started to leave. So he was encountered by the elder brother out in the foyer as he was leaving, and the elder brother said, "Well, why are you leaving?" And the wandering monk said, "Well, your brother beat me in debate. I've never met such an intelligent fellow in all of my life. So deeply spiritual, and I have to leave. I'm leaving." And so before we went, the elder brother said, "Well, tell me what happened?" And so the wandering monk said, "Well, I held up one finger to indicate the Buddha. And your brother held up 2 fingers to indicate the Buddha and the Dharma. So I held up 3 fingers to indicate the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and then he put up his fist to indicate that they were all one. That is profound, deep. I have to leave." So he left. And just then, the younger brother came bursting out of the door and saying, "Where is he? Where is that fellow?" And the older brother said, "Well, he's left. Tell me what happened." And so the younger brother said, "Well, he held up one finger to indicate that I only had one eye. And so I held up 2 fingers to being polite, to congratulate him on having 2 eyes." And then he held up 3 fingers to say that between us we only had 3 eyes. I want to punch him. Where is he? And then there's a story of a wandering man who was in the wilderness. And as he was wandering, he came across a bear that was caught, trapped. So he freed the bear from its entrapment, and it became his boon companion. It went with him everywhere. He could sleep safely at night because the bear would lay down there and sleep beside him, so he could sleep without fear of other wild animals coming along. And then one day it so happened that he encountered a dervish who was on his way on pilgrimage to somewhere, and the traveller was waxing lyrical about his bear and what a wonderful companion he was and how safe he felt. So the wandering dervish gave him a little talk on appearances and reality, which we might translate as perception and awareness, by the way. But the traveller wouldn't have a bar of what he was saying about appearances and reality. And this was relative to the bear, of course. So the dervish went on his way, just shaking his head. But then one day, as the traveller was lying down, enjoying an afternoon rest in the sun, feeling quite safe beside his bear companion, a lot of flies were in that area, and they kept flying around the face of the traveller, and the bear got totally incensed. These flies flying around his friend. So he picked up a big stone and smashed it down on the flies and crushed the man's head. So over these last days, with the stories that have been told, at first we could say that there was a consensus arrived at that perception was sensory, purely of the senses. But over these last days, we could say that there was also some kind of agreement that both perception and awareness are colored by our conditioning. So where does that leave us in an endeavor to answer the question? Or is it a trick question, I might say? What's the difference between perception and awareness?
The mind. We perceive with the mind, but the awareness is here.
Yes. And yet there is that kind of agreement to say that both perception and awareness are coloured by our conditioning. As we know, there are lots of people who see the world not only literally, but figuratively as grey or negative. Or those Pollyannas who wear their rose-coloured glasses and only see life in that rosy glow, or the do-gooders that see it all as God. So where does it leave us in our endeavour to answer this question? And again it has to be said, is it a trick question?
For the mind it is. If we think about it, it can be very tricky.
Yes, yes. So where would you imagine that it's leading us? Perception and awareness.
Well, it's interesting because there's some people whose perceptions are listened to and some people's whose are not.
Mm-hmm.
Depends what position you're in, I guess, and how powerful you are, etc., and whether people listen to you or not. But yeah, if someone's in a position where their perceptions are perceived to be by others as to be right because they're in a position of some sort, then that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you go with that or not? Depends with your life, depends on it, I suppose.
So how do these stories impact our endeavour to reach an answer to this question? Perhaps we could look at maybe what the dervish said to the traveller. What would you imagine that would be said to this traveller, enamoured with the bear he'd saved? What would we say? Relative.
Nothing is